What's up, boys? It is time for another scouting report. This time we're gonna look over Cayden Primeau. Little disclaimer before we start the video. So if you're subscribed to my channel, you probably already know I've never done any scouting report for a goalie, so this is my first time, and I'm not a goalie expert, so my opinion is not gonna be worth much, but we're gonna try to do this together. We're gonna look at a few clips and try to see if Cayden Primeau is good. Okay, now let's look at his stat. So the first thing I notice here is the Primeau family is pretty stacked. There's a lot of good players. His dad, Cayden Primeau, played a long time in the NHL. And for me, I tend to bump a little bit prospect that their father played in the NHL just because they're going to get a lot of valuable information from their father. But most importantly, they're going to get the absolute best training and coaches from a very young age. So this is going to play a big part in their development long term. Now, if we go down and look at Cayden Primeau last 2 years stats, he's been on absolute fire, unreal. So he won 2 Bean Pot last year. He won the Mike Richards Award for the best goalie in the NCAA, and I think he won the Eastern. Yeah, he won the Hockey East Championship. With Hockey East probably the best division in NCAA. So the stats pretty much speak for themselves. Over 0.93% save percentage, over a pretty decent sample size. This is pretty nuts. Even at the World Junior, he did extremely well. And one last thing before we start watching some clip, this is a really nice tool on Elite Prospect for the premium member. So you can watch in the NCAA how many goaler in their draft plus 1 year. So when he was 19, his first year, that played in the NHL, just to compare against other goalie that made it since, let's say, 2000, 2001. And if we look here, I'm going to choose goalie, and this is pretty much it. So you can see there's a few big names here. Corey Schneider, 9.16. Howard, there's Bishop. There's a few big names, and he had pretty much better stat than all those guys. We can push this further and watch for last year. So in his draft eligible plus 2, and I'm just gonna choose goalie again. And as you can see, this time Jimmy Howard, Elia Buck had an insane year. Howard too. But if we look at around 9.3, you still have Corey Schneider, Ben Bishop, Jonathan Quick. So there's a lot of good goalie that had a similar stat than Carey Price that played in NHL and had a really good career. Okay, let's start with the fun stuff. Let's roll some clip. And the first thing I want to touch with Cayden Primeau is often with elite goaltender, the other team will have a specific game plan for them. And it was the same thing with Cayden Primeau. So not only they were putting one body in front of him, but often there were 2 guys in front of him. So he had a lot of traffic. And I have a few clips demonstrating how he was doing against traffic in front of the net.
Christopher Brown lost the edge, but they still got the puck. Loose in front, now it comes back to the point. Wrist shot there, stopped by Primeau, and then
the puck away. Primeau makes the...
Cayden Primeau, we've talked about how consistent he's been for the Huskies this season. Again, look at the traffic from UMaine, right?
So all in all, this was a pretty strong part of his game. I felt every time he had the screen in front of him, he was always calm and he was able to make the save anyway. So he was never really affected by the opponent having people in front of the net.
Just takes more angle away from the shooter. Primeau makes that save. One man back at the point, and it's Massey, and he'll shoot through traffic. Primeau makes the save. And Primeau covers up.
Connor Moore now throws one rebound right in front. Greco was there.
Okay, so now with this clip, we're going to make a transition to another subject. So for a goalie, of course, it's very important to first stop the puck. It's obvious. But one thing that's important is you need to control your rebound. So it doesn't matter how good you are at stopping the puck. If you're always letting juicy rebound in front of the net, you're probably not going to have much success. So we're going to take a quick look at how well he manages his rebound.
here on the left side, Finkelstein, centering pass. Oh, what a save there by Primeau.
For BC.
There's Finkelstein. He fires off the shot. Save made by Primeau, but Boston College controlling. Finkelstein turns quickly, and that was redirected as Williams got a piece of it. Back to the point, Michael Kim hammers the shot.
This one here is really nice. It was against Oliver Wahlstrom, who was arguably one of the best pure sniper in the draft a few years ago, and he made this look extremely easy. And this is something I try to notice for goalie. The more it seems to be easier for them to save the puck. This means they are well positioned, they're big in the net, they can read the play, and it was the case for Cayden Primeau. I think he was doing an amazing job at pretty much everything, and the time he was giving a rebound, most of them were going straight in the corner, and this is obviously what you want to do when you're a goalie. You want to direct your rebound in the corner in low danger area. So for now, everything is pretty positive. Now let's take a quick look at the goals against him and see if maybe there's things he needs to work on.
Shot from the point by McCrader, battling away in front, and it looks like it's in.
So in the previous clip, he was beat with a wraparound, and usually this will always be the goalie's fault. You should always stop a wraparound. And here's another clip where he gave a pretty big rebound just after the wraparound. So maybe he needs to work on that, but it could also be a case of bad luck. Okay, now we're gonna dig at more serious stuff. So those are gonna be the worst goal he has given this year. And on this clip, he's getting beat cleanly from a pretty good distance. He should have stopped that puck. Now this one, I'm not entirely sure it was his fault because there was really nice movement before the shot, but maybe he was a little bit too deep in his net. But I'm starting to notice a trend that there's a few times he got beat on the blocker side, and also a few times that the puck went through him, so he was not able to swallow the puck. The puck just trickled in on the blocker side. And one more time, so maybe he's gonna have to work a little bit on the blocker side. Then again, I think here the main issue is that he needs to be more aggressive. I don't think he should be in his blue crease. He should challenge those shots and be more aggressive.
Puts it in front. Grando trying to find it back to the point and score!
Had a good chance, and then off the rebound of that, got it back to the point, and Fitzgerald just rips a wrist shot past the defense.
And this one finally, more recently against Paul Byron. So pretty much all the time he got beat cleanly, it was on the blocker side. And I'm gonna pause this one, and it's pretty obvious. It seems pretty obvious to me. The blocker is way too low. His arm should be higher on the blocker side, and there's no way against a shot from this distance that he has the time to move his blocker up to block top corner, the right top corner. So now that we've seen the blocker side, let's transition to the other side, the glove side, and I have a few clips here.
100 years, both his first 2 years, and definitely turn that.
Back behind the net, glove down, knocked down, brought in by Fabro. One-timer just knocked.
Time running out on the main power play. And Cayden Primeau reaching with the glove, saves.
It's Cayden Primeau. We've talked about how consistent he's been for the Huskies this season. Again, look at the traffic from UMaine, right? And if I'm, the Northeast.
And this one versus none other than the future Calder Trophy winner this year, Cale Makar.
Not the, not your typical grade A chance, but definitely an open shot. And can't any second chance. You see Lincoln Griffin dive.
See a great replay here. Nice move by Greco to get in. Watch Primo's glove track out on top.
All in all, he seems very solid on the glove side. I haven't seen him getting beat too many times, so it looks like a strong point for him. Speaking of strong point, I think he's exceptionally good at reading the play. He sees the ice very well for a goalie, and whenever there's a cross-crease pass, he's always there on time, so he anticipates the play very nicely.
Brown, but the goaltender Primo way out to play. Cotton just tried to fire that.
Right in front of the goaltender. Tip save, Primeau.
Hockey, Cam Donaldson tries to weave his way in. Brendan Locke look left. He has Barron in front. Now he sends it to Yanni Kalidas who gets the shot off.
His stick the way fans wanted to call, but he continues. O'Leary to the backhand. Cayden Primeau.
And of course, I have to add this beauty in the preseason game recently. This is just amazing. A nice read, and he was there on time. And of course, Carey Price approved. He's impressed. So to conclude, here's my verdict. I think he has everything it takes to be #1 goalie. He's also very clutch. There's a lot of games that he won by himself. If he was not there, they would have lost the game. So this is also something I'm looking for. Is he able to absolutely rob a game? And he did it a few times, and in big games as well. I really think most of the Habs fan base are sleeping on him for a few reasons. First, he was a 7th round pick. Also, he's playing in the NCAA, so it's not the most popular league. And finally, we have a goaler named Carey Price, so I guess the fan don't really care about a prospect goalie, but in my book he's very well one of our best prospect. And also, if I had to compare him, I think he's damn near close to to a guy like Carter Hart, I would put him in the same category. And if you're still here watching, this means you are, my friend, a true hardcore Habs fan, and you deserve the best content out there, and this is what I'm gonna try to bring this year. So don't forget to like and subscribe. This video took me around 30 hours to make, so for this one I would ask you, please murder the subscribe button, click on that button, and I hope I'm gonna see you on the next scouting report. Peace.